Most companies calculate their financials not based on the calendar year, but on a financial year which starts on April 1st and ends on March 31st the following year. And in this financial year, starting in April 2024 and ending in March 2025, Royal Enfield has reported record sales of 1,009,090 motorcycles, an 11% increase over the previous year. And while this figure is still dwarfed by Honda, the world's biggest manufacturer of motorized two-wheelers, as well as several other bigger companies from India, China, and Japan, it is noteworthy for the kind of motorcycles being sold. Whereas most of the larger manufacturers achieve those huge numbers by selling mostly small scooter-sized bikes, Royal Enfield's smallest motorcycles are 350cc, huge, fancy, heavy bikes by the standards of most of the world. 12 or 13 years ago, Royal Enfield was selling just over 100,000 motorcycles almost entirely for the Indian market, the largest in the world. Now it's hitting 1 million, just as manufacturers like KTM are on the verge of collapse, and others like Harley-Davidson are suffering from declining sales and profits. How did Royal Enfield accomplish this feat, and what can be learned from this success story? The company definitely didn't just luck into this win, but executed a long-term strategic plan which resulted in its current prosperity. For all the details, stay tuned. And as always, if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. How did Royal Enfield 10x its sales in about 13 years? Well, there are a couple of advantages that it enjoys over many other manufacturers. One, it's located in India, which is the most populous country in the world and also the world's biggest motorcycle market. Much of India also enjoys a lot of warm weather, which makes motorcycles a practical mode of transportation year-round. Their size and nimbleness also makes them uniquely suited to the Indian roads, which can seem pretty chaotic to outsiders. The vast majority of Royal Enfields are still sold in India. Less than 100,000 have been sold internationally this year, but that number is growing extremely fast. While critics may dismiss Royal Enfield's success as a function of being from the right market, remember that they have also drastically improved their sales in that market. Additionally, Royal Enfield is not a standalone company, but is owned by Eicher Motors, a huge Indian automotive company, with Royal Enfield accounting for a small part of its profits. Much like BMW Motorrad is a subsidiary of the larger auto company. This is an advantage because it means that Royal Enfield has access to capital which can be invested in R&D and the building of manufacturing facilities with an eye on long-term growth rather than short-term payoffs for shareholders. And this is exactly how this story begins, with a young, energetic CEO, Siddhartha Lal, investing in 2 huge new plants in India and purchasing Harris Performance, a British design and fabrication firm. After that, in 2017, Royal Enfield invested in a UK-based technology center where over 100 engineers, designers, and testers are working on long-term R&D projects. And just recently, another plant has been added in Thailand for manufacturing motorcycles for the Asian market. But that's not all. In order to be able to sell a larger number of bikes, in 2016, Royal Enfield moved into the growing adventure bike market with the first air-cooled Himalayan, which was underpowered for highway use, but also surprisingly good off-road. At this point, reliability was still a problem as a foot peg fell off in the promo video, and Royal Enfields had a reputation for being finicky and temperamental. However, a serious effort was made to improve quality control, and this paid off as the company's offerings are now known for exceptional reliability. The engines aren't producing cutting-edge power at extreme compression ratios, so they can be overbuilt to be bulletproof. And Royal Enfield is in the enviable position where it has managed to shake off the questionable track record of older models. One of the engines responsible for this turnaround is the 648cc parallel twin, which Royal Enfield introduced at the end of 2017 in the Interceptor 650 and Continental GT. Despite the fact that this was an air oil-cooled mill with no remarkable features, it has been extremely successful, producing an A2-friendly 47 horsepower and pushing these bikes close to 100 miles per hour or 160 km per hour top speeds. And with its parallel twin sporting a 270-degree crankshaft, it sounds properly lumpy. Then Royal Enfield introduced the Meteor with an all-new 349cc counterbalanced, air-cooled single that now powers all of the 350 models. Finally came the new 452cc engine on the new Himalayan, Royal Enfield's first liquid-cooled power plant. So basically, all of Royal Enfield's current engines are new designs, and although none of them will blow you away with crazy power figures, they are all reliable and perform well enough in retro motorcycles, which were never meant to be world beaters in terms of performance anyways. Now yes, the 411 Scram still runs the older 411cc engine from the last Himalayan, but I have a feeling that soon it might be replaced by a Scram 452 with twice the power of the current bike. Once all of these engines were in production and proving themselves as reliable and full of character, Royal Enfield set about building new models around them for a wide variety of riders. For example, if you want the 650 engine, you have a choice between the British Classic Interceptor 650, the Cafe Racer version Continental GT, the American-style cruiser Super Meteor, the more modern and upright standard/cruiser hybrid Shotgun, the beautifully styled Retro Classic, and now the Scrambler-style Bear. Royal Enfield is getting a lot of mileage out of this engine, and if you're a retro lover, they have a 650 motorcycle for you. Similarly, the 350 platform now has the Cruiser Meteor, Retro Bullet and Classic, and the more modern British Standard Hunter. Finally, the 450 Himalayan engine is also being used in the Gorilla 450, a sporty answer to Triumph's Speed 400. The 20 horsepower 350 is for people who are not in too much of a hurry and are content to cruise and watch the scenery roll by. The 450s are competitive with other bikes in their class, producing 40 horsepower, and the 650s are there to slip just under the A2 limit. Honestly, if I was an A2 license holder in one of the countries that mandate such things, the Royal Enfield 650s would be the bikes I'd be looking at, especially at the prices they are offered for. Which brings us to Royal Enfield prices, and these are a major reason for the company's success. The bikes are all priced between $4,000 and $8,000 US, which is pretty spectacular considering you're getting a beautifully designed classic motorcycle with a classic name. Yes, when you're up close you can see where they are built to a budget, but that is less obvious with the new ones. The proportions are classic retro, the styling is very well done for the price point, and Royal Enfield even offers a wide variety of colors and graphics, plus a 3-year warranty. The focus here is definitely on looks, nostalgia, reliability, and value, and it's paying off, even if these bikes are nowhere near as fast as the much more expensive Triumphs. And the marketing is on point. Royal Enfield tends to feature attractive young people in their ads, and while these are not the gang members from the Wild One, there is just enough rebellion to make the bikes look seriously fun. I can't imagine a Japanese motorcycle company showing riders who aren't wearing full protective gear riding like this or messing around in potentially dangerous situations. Yet, Royal Enfield releases this ad and no one bats an eye. This is how you advertise to young riders. You want to project a cool, slightly rebellious image while making the sport look like something that everyone can afford. This company is clearly run by people with a passion for motorcycling who are willing to invest in R&D and production facilities because they believe that their product will appeal to a wide variety of riders from all around the world. And judging by the sales numbers, it does. This is a labor of love and it shows in the showroom and the product line. When one hangs out with the salespeople, it is clear that they are riders first and are brimming with pride and optimism at the prospects of their company. And those prospects are bright, with a new line of stylish electric city commuters named the Flying Flea about to be released. These are named after the ultra-lightweight paratrooper bikes Royal Enfield introduced for the Second World War. If you're going to make the electric motorcycle work, this is the way to do it. Build a light and inexpensive commuter that can run people into the city and back. No need for huge range as you can charge it every night. And unlike a gas-powered vehicle, apartment dwellers might even get to sneak these into the elevator. No fuel fumes to give away that it's actually a motorcycle. Another possible future model that has me really excited is the 838KX Concept V-Twin, which appeared a while ago now at the 2019 EICMA Motorcycle Show. The original 1930s Royal Enfield KX is CEO Sid Lal's favorite Royal Enfield of all time. So while it's been a while since this concept came out, I'm still holding out hope that we'll see it someday. And as Royal Enfield customers grow older in the next few years, it might make sense to offer a larger model, though 838cc seems a bit small to me. I'd like to see one of these in the original 1140cc displacement to take on the Harley Sportsters, Indian Scouts, and Triumph Bobber and T120. A bigger bike would be the next logical step for the company to take in the near future as it continues to expand. So what have we learned from Royal Enfield's success over the last decade and a half? For one, high-tech and all-out performance is not that important. KTM, a brand that puts performance and technology first, is struggling to sell bikes while Royal Enfields are flying out of the showrooms. This just reinforces the view I've shared on this channel for some time. More customers want a simple, straightforward motorcycle than a technological marvel. One of the reasons I bought a Yamaha Tenere 700 was precisely because it didn't bother with rider modes or 6-axis IMUs. I'd rather pay for a good motor and chassis than for a bunch of finicky tech. And the lack of the tech also helps keep the price down, which is another reason for Royal Enfield's success. They provide value. You can put a Royal Enfield beside a Triumph or a Harley, which costs 2 to 3 times more, and the quality, while maybe not being as high, is within ballpark of those premium brands. That's good value for the consumer in times where young people especially are being squeezed by high housing costs. Where else can you get a true classic motorcycle with a legit name and heritage for between $4,000 and $8,000 US? Retro sells well, and Royal Enfield is good at leaning into its heritage and classic looks. And finally, reliability. I love Japanese motorcycles because the Japanese are fanatical about reliability, and it seems Royal Enfield took a page out of that book. Fortnite did a video a while back analyzing oil from different brands after the first oil change, and Royal Enfields had the cleanest oil with the least metal particulates in them. Meanwhile, KTM never put reliability on its list of priorities, and it is in real financial trouble because their bikes are not selling. There's a lesson there for all major manufacturers. So I have to say, I'm super happy to see Royal Enfield rise and hit the mainstream in the world market. I think competition is a good thing, and the more of it there is, the better for the consumer. And this company shows us that riders are looking for simple, good-looking bikes at affordable prices. Go figure. If I were in the market for a modern classic and it was my money on the line, I'd probably go for the Bear 650. It looks and sounds good and looks like it can handle a lot of the rough roads I sometimes ride. But how about you? Which current Royal Enfield model appeals to you? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Check out some of these other videos which may be of interest to you. Ride safe, and may the spokes be with you.